Let's talk about the real villain in Demon Slayer. I know a lot of y'all probably thought of Michael Jackson himself, but I think there's a lot worse culprit that needs to be addressed. And the culprit's been hiding right in plain sight this entire time. We just failed to notice it. Well, I didn't, at least. And that culprit is the Demon Slayer core itself. Let's start off by talking about the entrance exam in Demon Slayer Final Selection. Now, I tried to do some research and find any rules or stipulations about what needs to happen in order for you to go to Final Selection, and I could not find anything. So if you show up to Final Selection and you have your sword, as long as you survive, you're welcome to enter the Demon Slayer core. Now, why is that a problem? It's a problem because most of the people that actually go to Final Selection don't come back. It's very rare, as we saw. Many people that go to Final Selection, very few will come back alive, and those that do, it doesn't really mean they did anything. Like, let's be honest, what do we think Zenitsu did at Final Selection? He slept 7 nights and was able to kill every demon he ran into? I don't think that was the case. If I'm being honest, that little speedster Zenitsu, I think he was speeding around for 7 days and 7 nights, and then he finally killed his first demon when he fell asleep, and that was the drum demon. And why would you even want Zenitsu to be a demon slayer? Why would you want someone that cowardly, someone that afraid, no matter how powerful they were, to protect people? Zenitsu, if he's awake, has no ability to protect anyone. Is that someone you really want protecting you for a majority of season 2? He has to be asleep, because if he wasn't asleep, he wouldn't be able to help anybody. He'd be more of a hindrance and a problem than he would be an asset to Tengen and the rest of his team. And the only requirement that Urodaki had for Tanjiro was he had to slice through a boulder. All it takes to go to Final Selection is slicing through a boulder. I understand slicing through a boulder is no easy task, but that's it? You're willing to fight for your life against demons because you sliced through one single boulder? And if we're being honest, Urodaki wasn't the reason Tanjiro passed Final Selection. It was Sabito. Sabito was the one training Tanjiro, while Urodaki, we don't know what Urodaki was doing, but it wasn't training Tanjiro, it was just watching over Nezuko while I guess Tanjiro was away training. And while we're on Urodaki, why did he not teach Tanjiro total concentration constant? So you're telling me you're a former Hashira, you have to know about this ability, and you're not gonna teach it to Tanjiro before you send him off the Final Selection? Let's not forget, when Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro all learned total concentration constant, they got exponentially stronger. So you were okay not teaching him that and sending him to Final Selection? What would you have done if he had died? Do we really believe that Urodaki would have sat there for years on end for the rest of his life and monitored and tried to nurture Nezuko? I don't think so. What was that old man gonna do with that 12-year-old girl if Tanjiro had passed away? He already said when Tanjiro had returned, he didn't expect him to come back. So what was your game plan if Tanjiro never came back? Were you gonna just cut it there and slay Nezuko? Or what was the game plan with Nezuko up at that point? And then what about the rest of your students, Urodaki? You're telling me you just kept sending kids to Final Selection knowing how strong they were and they just weren't coming back and you didn't get a little concerned on what was happening to them? You've had to see how weak some of the Demon Slayer core members are, and your students were stronger, but they weren't coming back from Final Selection? Like, how can you constantly send students to Final Selection and they're not coming back and you don't change the training regimen? You sent Tanjiro through the same training every other one of your students had went through and failed, but you gave him a bigger boulder. Like, truthfully, there's no way he thought being able to cut through a bigger boulder was the problem and not more training. How about instead of letting all of your students die, Urodaki, you teach them total concentration constant? And I know what a lot of you guys are probably thinking, you're typing in the comments, but total concentration constant is a difficult technique to learn. And Zenitsu was able to learn total concentration after what, slaying maybe 2 demons? It just took a lot of hard work and basic training. It's not like they were doing exponentially hard training. They were just staying in total concentration and doing workouts, basically runs, lifting weights. That's not worth another, what, couple of months, maybe a year of training so that they go to Final Selection and actually come back with their lives? I think I'm gonna choose the extra training if you know something that will benefit me so I don't, you know, die. Urodaki had to know how strong Sabito was and had to know that he could pass Final Selection with flying colors. So why did it not occur to him that, hey, Sabito failed Final Selection? I wonder what kind of demon had to be up there that was killing one of my best students I've ever had. And I know the Hashira are off doing missions or whatever it is they're doing, but they can't take 1 day to monitor Final Selection. You have a whole Demon Slayer core. You can't take one of them to, you know, monitor Final Selection and make sure every single person that Final Selection doesn't die. It doesn't even have to be a Hashira. It just has to be someone that could fight low-level demons. Why is that the only solution? For Final Selection, you go to the mountain for 7 days. If you come back and become a Demon Slayer. If not, we're assuming you're dead. How hard is it to take a member of the Demon Slayer core, put them on on the mountain to monitor everyone. And I don't know, if someone's about to die to a demon and it looks like they have no hope, you save their life. That way they can either train to become stronger and actually join the Demon Slayer Corps, or maybe they realize, hey, I'm not cut out for this. I bit off more than I could chew. These demons are a lot scarier than I thought, and they can live a normal, peaceful life. The Hashira that are supposed to care so much about innocent civilians don't even care for their own Demon Slayer Corps members or future Demon Slayer Corps members, and that's just hard to believe. Can't tell me anyone that lets innocent people willingly die knowing they're trying to pass final selection is a good person. So these Hashira are actually villains. In my book, if you're letting innocent people die by doing nothing, you are a villain. Shout out to Tom Holland. So yes, while the Demon Slayer Corps and the Hashira are not directly murderers, they play a part in it, and a very big part at that. I understand you willingly go to final selection, but still, some people don't know what they're getting themselves into. Tanjiro only fought one demon before he went into final selection, and he struggled with that. And Tanjiro was one of the lucky ones that got to train with a Hashira for 2 years before even attempting to go to final selection. Some people aren't that lucky that if they want to try and become a demon slayer. I can make a completely separate video on why Zenitsu shouldn't have become a demon slayer, so if you want to see that, leave a like on this video and let me know in the comments down below if I was able to change your mind about the Demon Slayer Corps.